Finance. It's a cloudy, rainy day in New York City, but a bright one. The Yankees won last night. A little tired staying up for that one, but that was a good victory. Hopefully we win again today. First up on the agenda, the adoption of the meeting minutes from the September meeting of Finance. Can I please get a motion to approve those meeting minutes? Thank you, Janice or Al. Second by Janice. All in favor, aye. Aye. None opposed, no abstentions. That motion carries. We are going to be addressing four financings, two of which are TELP financings. First up, Dave is going to present the Orchard Park CCRC. It's sort of a unique financing for DASNY, although we have full statutory authority to advance with this. So let's pay attention to this one and analyze it and then proceed. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, and good morning, everyone. The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the full board a single approval transaction for a financing in an amount not to exceed $75 million, with a term not to exceed 35 years on behalf of Orchard Park CCRC, Inc., doing business as Fox Run at Orchard Park. The transaction is being undertaken as a single approval for a new client rated in the BBB category, and staff is requesting an exception to DASNY's board financing authorization policy as it relates to single approval by the board. Fox Run is a not-for-profit corporation which operates a continuing care retirement community for individuals aged 62 or older. Its 54-acre campus located in Orchard Park, just south of Buffalo. Fox Run was granted a certificate of authority by New York State in April of 2006 and began operating in April of 2007. Proceeds from this proposed issuance will finance the expansion of Fox Run's independent living units, along with the renovation and expansion of existing common spaces. The proposed issuance will be DASNY's first financing on behalf of a continuing care retirement community, or CCRC. CCRCs are residential alternatives for adults that offer independent living units, residential amenities, and access to a continuum of long-term care services as residents' health and social needs change over time. CCRCs in New York State provide healthcare options offered through insurance-like contracts to residents that meet both the financial and health criteria established by the CCRC. CCRC revenues are derived from upfront entrance fees and monthly service fees that are paid by the residents. CCRCs charge a one-time entrance fee, which is generally comparable to the value of resident geographic area, as well as a monthly fee with amounts determined by the contract type and the size of the unit. CCRCs in New York State are authorized under Article 46 of the Public Health Law and operate under the oversight of the New York State Department of Health and the New York State Department of Financial Services. A little bit of background on Fox Run. Fox Run currently offers 180 independent living units, 52 assisted living suites, and 60 skilled nursing beds. The independent units are comprised of 30 patio homes and 150 apartments in a two-story apartment building, while the assisted living suites and skilled nursing beds are housed within the health center. Since 2013, Fox Run has exceeded 90% occupancy in independent living and has maintained an average occupancy of 98% for the last 3 calendar years. Further, the wait list for independent living units continues to grow, demonstrating the need for additional independent living units. At the end of fiscal year 24, assisted living occupancy was 94% and the skilled nursing occupancy was 87%. The assisted living and skilled nursing facilities may be occupied by individuals who are not residents with life care contracts, but who pay on a per diem basis, which provides Fox Run with enhanced revenues and the flexibility to accommodate additional contract holders. Fox Run has posted positive operating margins in 4 out of the last 5 years. Operating revenues grew by 14% between 2022 and 2024 due to increased net resident service revenue from improved post-pandemic occupancy levels in both the assisted living and skilled nursing units. Fox Run reported a net asset deficit of just under negative $12 million as of fiscal year 24. As a CCRC, Fox Run reports refundable entrance fees as a liability on its balance sheet, which contributes to that net asset deficit. Refundable entrance fees act as a component of a CCRC's permanent capitalization as refunds to current residents are normally funded by entrance fee deposits of new residents entering the community. Foxtron's net asset deficit has decreased over time as positive operating margins and investment returns have added to its unrestricted net assets. As of fiscal year end 24, Foxtron reported $32.4 million of cash and investments, which is an increase of 31% over 5 years. Article 46 requires that Foxtron maintain a minimum operating reserve in an amount equal to 35% of projected operating expenses, which includes refunds due over the next 12 months, an amount which currently represents approximately $9.6 million. A little bit about the project. The proposed expansion project will increase independent living units from 180 to 249 through the construction of 3 new independent living apartment wings and 8 new patio home units. The project will also include the renovation of existing common spaces to improve and expand existing amenities and programs. The project has received approval by the Department of Health and the Department of Financial Services, with contingencies to be satisfied prior to construction. As a condition to its approval of the project, DOH requires submission of proof of execution of contracts for at least 50% of all the units within the expansion, accompanied by a deposit of at least 10% of the entrance fee prior to the start of construction. So for those new units, Foxtron was able to draw from its existing wait list and began marketing the units in August, and currently has 75% of those units sold. Foxtron is proposing to issue approximately $66.6 million in bonds through DASI to finance the project, to fund capitalized interest and a debt service reserve fund, and to pay cost of issuance. The bonds are expected to be issued through 2 series, approximately $36.8 million of Series 2025A bonds and approximately $29.8 million of Series 2025B bonds. As is customary with CCRC bond issues, the B bonds are anticipated to serve as bridge financing and will be paid down with entrance fees received for the new assisted living units once occupied. The 2025 B bonds are expected to have a final maturity in 2028 and will be paid down through mandatory redemption as funds are received upon occupancy of the new units. So once the 2025 B bonds are redeemed in full, only the 2025 A bonds will remain outstanding. Foxtron is rated BBB by Fitch, and security for the bonds is expected to include 1 or more obligations issued under a master trust indenture, which will be secured by a pledge of revenues and a mortgage. And once again, we're asking the board to adopt a single approval, and this will allow Foxtron to move forward with pricing the bonds later this month and break ground for their expansion projects prior to the winter months of Buffalo. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Very much, Dave. I have a couple of questions, but I'll go to Al or to Janice if you have anything.
I just, the one thing about the conditions, Dave, prior to the issuance of the bonds, like who confirms that those conditions are met? Is that our bond counsel? Like who oversees that?
So as far as the DOH approval, there's a number of contingencies in the approval letter from DOH and Department of Financial Services. Most of those contingencies are related to the sale of the bonds. So once the bonds are sold, but the majority of those conditions will be satisfied, and DOH will then provide their final approval.
So there's an actual final approval given by DOH confirming that the conditions are approved, and then you can proceed with, or we can proceed with the sale of the bonds. Another question I had was related to the underlying purchase agreements, the purchases. Obviously, there are full disclosures in those documents, and are those documents reviewed by Department of Financial Services or the AG, or is it like a prospectus or like an offering plan? How are these things actually sold to the purchaser, so the purchaser fully understands what he is buying or she is buying or getting into?
I'm not sure I understand the question. So the purchase contract for.
If I'm buying an interest, I guess it's not a fee interest, it's not a co-op, whatever the interest is, right? I'm sure there is a detailed purchase agreement as the purchaser I'm selling. Like if I'm buying a piece of property, I'm signing a purchase agreement. in that purchase agreement, there are certain risks that go along with this type of product. And those risks, I'm sure, are explained, and the purchaser goes into this with its eyes wide open. Right?
I believe so. I mean, I believe there are, I don't have all the details of those purchase contracts. I believe that would be something that, you know, that DOH would be aware of as far as how the contracts are structured. I honestly don't have the details of those contracts, but that would be my assumption.
Well, if you confirm, just as this thing proceeds, that finance or somebody is looking over the agreement. Obviously, the purchaser has attorneys, they're represented by counsel, they explain it, but I'm just curious what's in the agreement. You can get some of that information later on, not really. Not gonna stop me from voting, but
Jerry, isn't it? I'm a little concerned about the decision to make this an exception and have it be a single rule. Because there are questions that you just asked to them that I think remain to be answered. But apparently, the client here is in a hurry to do this.
yeah, well, they have to, I understand that too well. They need, and Dave can confirm it, I believe. You know, the weather in Buffalo.
Right, they're trying to get-
As our esteemed
they're trying to
colleague
get
will
beyond
confirm, you know.
something before the snow.
Moving on to say. So they have to sort of be in the ground sooner rather than later. And if they don't, then they're gonna delay the whole thing and they're going to, I mean, I get the need, the
Right,
the
otherwise it
need for
puts it
that.
into the spring construction season and the cost will increase.
And then there will be additional costs
Yeah.
that are not considered here.
Correct, because the construction costs will increase if they move from the fall construction start to the spring.
Just a slippery slope for me, which ordinarily, I would say this is not a matter for a single approval because there are lots of questions that remain to be answered. They've compressed it because the weather in Buffalo is the weather in Buffalo. I get it. I understand it. I'm not troubled by it. I'm just a little off center about it. And that's, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, clearly, look, this is unusual. We've not done a CCRC before. We've done lookalikes like Miriam Osborne. Having said that, CCRCs are authorized by Article 46 of the Public Health Law. So the policymakers have made the determination that this is, a reasonable healthcare options for, the portion of the population that's looking for this kind of very comprehensive care.
And there's a demand for it, given the pre-sales are 75%, so there clearly is a demand. Janet?
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Very
in Buffalo, so
Very familiar where their building is considered the South Towns, where when you hear of blizzards, that's really where it is. It's not in the city. So this is 30 minutes outside of Buffalo, New York. So, where it's near, actually it's near the Bill Stadium. So it's out in Orchard Park, a very affluent area. I mean, people who are living out there and who can afford to be in these facilities have definitely planned their retirement, or their families have planned for them. So we're not looking at people who might be signing an agreement and not aware of what their conditions are, and then something comes down
good
later
point, Janet.
and they might feel like, oh, I didn't know this is what I was saying. I'm sure that these residents are pretty on point with their care as they are aging.
Okay, I get it. It's unusual for us,
Yes.
and I don't want to move too quickly, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't. It just means that I'm a bit concerned. That's
When do these go to market?
Pardon me?
When will these bonds go to market? Shortly after this?
Yeah, the PACB meets next week. So we have to do that. Then the POS would mail, then we would price about a week after the POS mails. So towards the end of the month.
What else do they have on this thing? You know, it's a little different than what we typically have done, but nonetheless, we do have the statutory authority to do it. It does seem like it's a very reputable and well-run facility. And I'm not personally familiar with it, but it does appear, and it does seem to be certainly a demand for this particular product. So
And staff is comfortable with the approach that we're taking. So I'm generally fine with it. I just, because it's an unusual transaction for us, you know, I want to pump the brakes just.
yeah, I think we will agree with that. But and then we do have Department of Health
Yeah, yep.
and the department, and probably even more importantly here, Department of Financial Services, sort of in general overseeing this. And from the letter, they certainly have seemed to taken that obligation quite seriously.
Exactly. And, you know, part of the reason why this has taken as long as it has to come to us is because we reviewed by the Department of Health and the Department of Financial Services, the two regulatory agencies, had taken longer than the folks at Fox Run had expected. You know, clearly there was a high level of interest in this. And I think everybody from the state regulatory perspective really wanted to kick the tires here and make sure that, you know, they were comfortable with this. And Jared will do our best to get an answer to that.
I'm 99.9% certain that there's certain disclosures in there, and everybody's represented by counsel, and everybody goes into this with their eyes wide open.
Right.
But you know, this product is sort of, you know, in New York, there's not a lot of them. You know, some of them have issues. This certainly appears to be a different type of facility, a different organization. It's also a 501c4. It's a not-for-profit. So, you know, it has its own sort of obligations that go hand in hand with that designation. So,
Look, absolutely. There are only 12 of them in New York State. And, you know, this one has been around since 2000. They got their original certificate of authority, as Dave said, in 2006. They've gone through two very significant downturns in the economy, right, back in 2008, and then again in 2020 with COVID. And they have come through both of those in a strong financial position.
and there's a growing demand for this particular type of product. Just sort of different for us, right?
Yeah.
Certainly not as different as cannabis, but certainly like not.
And we'll survive that. Thank you, Jerry.
Sorry about that.
Charlie Williams.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Just to add, and we'll come back with confirmation, but I just did a quick search and it says the insurance department must review and approve the proposed disclosure statement and residency agreement. So we'll come back.
I'm assuming it's like an offering plan. It goes through some level of review. And the main point is the disclosure. That's
That's
sort of, you know,
exactly
your
right.
main point. You're going into this with your eyes wide open. Here's your risk, whatever, and you know, we just don't want to be involved with. But again, I mean, I have a comfort level, but
That's a question.
anyway, but there's other board members who were present, Joan or.
You know, I
Ken or-
find it fascinating
Liz?
that they can even start construction so late in the season. That's what you know, I would ask, is it really, do we really miss the second approval? Like, do they really miss the construction season?
Yeah, they are planning to get
Breaking
into the
ground?
Yes.
That's very optimistic.
Yeah, I just had one thing in the presentation I didn't understand, which is you talked about mandatory redemption of deposits. So I just want to, basically, part of the bonds are intended to be redeemed quickly when the units they've already got 75% of are paid, right? Did I interpret that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. So there'll be a Series B that's approximately 30 million. As the entrance fee deposits come in for the new units when they open, those funds go into an account. The monies come out of that account and pay down those bonds over a 3-year period. So the investors that are purchasing those bonds know that those bonds are being paid down in the short term.
Understood. Thanks.
Anybody else, Liz,
No,
anything?
I know last time we spent a lot of time on this, kind of deconstructing it and trying to understand,
Yeah, we had certain discussions.
right, what the
Right.
question points were. And I'm not sure if those question points have been answered.
Yeah,
But if DASNY in their due diligence feels comfortable, I'm with you, like 99.9, which is enough to bring me to
yeah, no, I mean,
go.
I'd like to see it,
Go.
you know, I think we can, anybody up is there any members up in Albany? Is the Department of Health rep there? Do they have anything to add?
Yeah, no, this is a well-established CCRC. They've been in the community for a long time. They generally do well. And, you know, the department supports this both on the Article 44 side and on the Article 28 side. So as part of a CCRC, they have to have a nursing home, as I think everybody's aware. So we certify the Article 28 piece, which is a nursing home. And then the Article 44 piece of it has also been approved in this particular instance. So, yeah, we have no issues or concerns with this particular transaction.
Well, thank you very much. That's a very important add to the discussion. Agreed. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to recommend this offering at the board meeting, which will be held shortly.
So
Thank you very much. Second, all in favor, aye, no
Aye.
abstentions, no, well, you can vote later, Liz. This is finance. but you-
Right. That's true. I haven't quite gotten on a committee yet. You're absolutely right.
It's okay, we
Um,
got you.
Anyway, so that motion carries. Thanks very much, Dave. Next up is the cerebral palsy. I don't have my cheat sheet, but I think Alex is presenting that. Right, Alex?
That's correct. Thank you and good morning. The finance committee is being asked to recommend that the board authorize one or more series of tax exempt or taxable fixed and/or variable rate bonds with a maturity not to exceed 30 years in an amount not to exceed 28 million on behalf of United Cerebral Palsy Association of New York State, Inc., doing business as Constructive Partnerships Unlimited or CPU. The proceeds from the Series 2025 bonds are expected to be used to, one, fund new capital projects and or reimburse the borrower for cash expended on capital projects. Two, refinance taxable bank loans incurred by the borrower to fund prior capital projects. And three, to refund the all or a portion of the borrower's DASNY Series 2010 and Series 2014 bonds. The new money projects consist of the purchased and or renovation of approximately 8 residential care facilities that support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Under the Public Authorities Law, DASNY is authorized to issue bonds on behalf of CPU and its affiliates. The statute provides DASNY with the authority to intercept funds from any state or local agency or social service district. And this will be the sixth financing, DASNY financing on behalf of CPU. CPU was established in 1946 to raise awareness, provide training, promote research, and advocate for services for children with cerebral palsy and related needs. Today, CPU provides comprehensive residential and rehabilitative services throughout New York City, Yonkers, and the Hudson Valley for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. These services are essential and state mandated. The security for the bonds will include a pledge of public funds subject to prior pledges, which may include other outstanding DASNY bonds issued on behalf of CPU, standby intercept of certain public funds, and a debt service reserve fund if required. State funding and oversight. The state has a long history of providing care for developmentally disabled persons and has done so over the past several decades by expanding community placements to replace state-operated facilities. OPWDD approves the services CPU provides through its Certificate of Needs process and CPU's capital projects through its Prior Property Approval or PPA process. As a part of the PPA approval for new capital projects, CPU has agreed to operate an OPWDD approved program at the approved facility for a specific number of years and comply with all OPWDD regulations in order to be eligible for continued state funding. The PPA evidences OPWDD's commitment to funding the project, and all of the Series 2025 facilities have approved PPAs. We are expecting a rating of W2 for Moody's for this transaction. That concludes my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thanks so much, Alex. Any questions or concerns?
Not here, Mr. Chairman.
I'll note it's an important organization, provides great services to folks in New York State, good client of DASNY. So can I get a motion to recommend approval of this at today's board meeting?
So moved.
Thank you so much, Janice. Second, Al. Thank you very much. All in favor, aye. None opposed, no abstained. That motion carries. Now we're going to move on to some of our favorite topics. There's a couple of tough financings on the agenda. Who's presenting that portion?
Juan is.
Juan, right, okay.
Jerry, can I just disclose, consulted with counsel, I'm recused from SUNY Upstate Medical Center matters.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Today, the Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the board a TILP transaction for SUNY Upstate Medical University in an amount not to exceed $35,400,000. The proposed financing will support the acquisition of equipment for nursing, building services, information technology, pharmacy, and various other hospital services. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, I'll ask for motion to recommend approval at the board meeting. Thanks, Janice. Thank you, Al, for the second. All in favor, aye, aye, none opposed, no abstentions. Next up is United, what is it? United Health or something?
Services.
Close, thanks.
Thank you. Today, the Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the board a TILP transaction for United Health Services hospitals in an amount not to exceed $10 million. The hospital plans equipment for clinical services, support services, cardiovascular services, nursing, physician practice, and information technology. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Motion, please. Thank you.
Second.
Janice, thank you. Al, second, all in favor, aye. Aye. And opposed, no abstentions. That motion carries. I believe, unless I'm missing something, am I missing?
Not missing anything, Jerry. Just looking at the approval letter from the Department of Health on the Fox Run CCRC. One of the contingencies that has to be satisfied prior to the start of construction is a submission of a final updated disclosure statement, residency agreement, and standard information sheet prior to distribution to prospective residents that's properly updated for the latest final financial feasibility study, actuarial study, and governmental approvals in a form deemed acceptable to DFS. And that's the DFS contingency.
Financial services on there,
Done.
on the job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, do I have any other matters for finance? Any question or concerns from committee members, board members? Hearing none, I'll ask for motion to adjourn so we can go right into our board meeting. Thank you very much. All in favor, aye. Aye, none opposed, no abstentions. That motion carries. So finance is concluded for October. And hopefully when we get back in November, our Yankees will be in probably the third game in the World Series.
Mm.
So,
Second that.